So Tulsi Gabbard, of course, is a more controversial pick because she's a former Democrat, because there is a lot of kind of ill will back in 2019. She made some statements about the Assad regime suggesting they weren't really America's enemy because we weren't fighting them at the time. And what she meant by that, if you go back and you actually read her comments, was not that Assad was not violating human rights. What she actually said at the time was, yes, Assad is violating human rights, but we don't have a significant American interest in what's going on over there. She's also taken a more dovish perspective on the Russia-Ukraine war, for example. She believes that it was Western encroachments in Ukraine via the attempt to enter the Ukraine into the EU and into NATO that led to Russia making its move to invade. Okay, so she's got more controversial foreign policy views as opposed to some of the more traditionalists. But the reason that Donald Trump is picking her for DNI is not really because of those foreign policy views. The Director of National Intelligence, that position coordinates between the CIA and the FBI. That's what that position is. So he's putting her as part of the intel community. Why? Well, because Tulsi Gabbard knows really, really well how many people have been targeted falsely by the intel community, including President Trump during his first term. In fact, she herself was apparently, according to her, put on a terror watch list just a couple of months ago. Well, now she's in charge of the DNI, so I would assume she's coming right off that terror watch list, I would assume. Here is Tulsi Gabbard speaking with Chris Williamson over at Modern Wisdom about the reality of a functioning democracy.
And the most troubling part about, there's so many things wrong with this, of course, but really at the most fundamental level, you look at, our country is the oldest democracy in the world, but the reality of a truly functioning and thriving democracy that has brought to life the vision that our founders had for us, that we really have a government of, by, and for the people, and that we have the ability and responsibility, for that matter, to ensure that the government we have only exists with the consent of the governed. That becomes very hard to do, to hold people accountable when the person that you voted for is certainly not the one making the decisions.
Okay, she's pointing out the predations of the bureaucratic state, right? If you vote for a politician and then it ends up being the bureaucracy that rules everything, that's a problem.